right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Monday. How's everyone doing? What was Friday's date? Marish, thank you for joining the coffee fund. Appreciate that. 11:21. All right. Susti, thank you, my friend. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Monday, new week, maybe new opportunities, but we got some things to talk about this week, some things to be careful of, some things to be aware of, and just, starting to get into those holiday weeks, which are weeks that you just got to, I believe, got to take the foot off the gas a little bit. Just got to understand what's going on. Be realistic with the action that you would expect. That's sort of the week that I am expecting, or that's how I'm coming into this week. So, right, we have nothing today, no news, no nothing today. Tomorrow we have PPI. Wednesday we have GDP. And then Thursday, the market is closed. And then Friday, the market has a half day. So it closes at 1 p.m. It's just sort of a week that's peppered with reasons to be cautious. Low volume, likely, with the Thursday close. The Friday half day. The week basically ends on Wednesday. I don't think there's any reason to show up on Friday, to be honest. Take that day off, right? Enjoy yourself. Take a day away from the markets. I mean, you could show up and watch, but in a half day, low volume, I really don't think you're going to find that, next best trade that you've been waiting on, and, that you're going to A+ setup that's going to make you, make the difference. So, Friday, half day, Thursday closed. The week basically is today to Wednesday. And on Tuesday and Wednesday, we have major economic data. So just one of those weeks. Posted on X this morning, I'd saying, I'd rather look back at this week and say, wow, I can't believe I missed that opportunity. And wow, I'm surprised that the market provided that. Then I'd rather look back and say that than look back and say, wow, I lost a significant amount of money trying to trade in expected slow and holiday markets, right? I mean, that would be the worst way to end this week, is to expect this, to understand that. I mean, Thanksgiving, market closed on Thursday and half day on Friday is not unknown information, right? That is known to happen. And so, knowing that and then losing a significant amount of money in subpar price action, that would be my worst way to end the week. So that's what I'm cautious of this week. I'm not going to be pushing it. I'll be looking more on, broader macro look into December, right? How do we set up into December? That's going to be much more interesting to me this week. How does it set up, right? How does this is the last week of November, right? So what does that November monthly candle look like? How does it close? How do we set up into December? What is it set up for? Maybe, a month of, what does December look like? Is it set up for a full month of upside in December? Maybe a bounce back in December? Those are all the things that are going to be, that's what's going to be going through my head this week. Not, I can't wait to put $100,000 in Tesla calls 0 DTE on Friday when the market closes at 1 p.m., right? That is very uninteresting. So, yeah, that's my thoughts this week. There's nothing wrong with it. Enjoy it. Enjoy a little bit of holiday action. You should be very excited. I cannot wait for the market to be closed on Thursday. That is going to be a great time. Nice wake up. Don't have to wake up at 6 o'clock. Enjoy myself. Enjoy friends. Enjoy family. And then before you know it, we're into December. We're into Christmas. We're into my birthday. So yeah, great time of the year. Let's close it strong. All right. All right. So press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump. This damn mic, man. This damn mic. Every time I change this damn thing, why does it go back every time? Tell me. Why does it go back every damn time? Every single time it goes back. I don't know what to tell you guys. Muted. Can't hear you. No sound. Oh my God, it's burning down. The stream is burning down. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, can I just change the default or something? I really need to look into that. Okay. So, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. First things first, I want to let you guys know about a little TradeZella deal that's going on right here. So they have a little pre-sale Black Friday deal that they have let me know about. So you could use code PRESALE for a annual plan on TradeZella for $2.99 for a full year. That's not bad. That's pretty cheap, actually. So if you want to check that out, if you want to start 2026 with TradeZella, that's probably the right time to do it. So if you want to, go to the link down below in the description. It's down in the description of the live stream, and use code PRESALE. So check that out. That will be the first thing of today. Make sure to check that out. I'll be letting you guys know about that pretty much all through the week. And it expires on the 29th. So that is, what is that? What's the 29th? Is that, the 29th is, why is my calendar on 2026? I have no idea. The 29th is Saturday. So the day after Black Friday. Okay. All right. So that's that. Let's go ahead and get started. So NASDAQ futures holding up pretty well right now. Holding up. Hold on. Getting a bunch of distractions this morning. Holding up pretty well right now. Starting to see a little bit of a pop to the upside off in this pre-market. Holding the daily 100 SMA, which is very clear, right? You can see right there, daily 100 SMA, and also holding the Tuesday low. So right now, I have a pretty clear no trade zone on this market between the Friday range and also these lows back here from this Friday on the 7th of November. So I am cautious of longing into these lows, cautious of longing into these lows, and then cautious of longing into Friday's highs. And so this area right here will sort of be that supply area that I will be careful of the market failing today. You failed that on Thursday, you failed that on Friday, and you can see we're trying to push up into that level again. So that will be definitely the area of caution on the upside as the market sort of pushes higher here in the pre-market. Now, I want to make it very known what you have traded down into, and I will be very brief on this because this will, you got to do this yourself. Spent a long time talking about this yesterday. I'm not going to talk about it too much today. It's going to take the whole live stream if I do. I'm just going to put this on your radar. That is all I'm going to put. I'm just going to tell you what this is. I'm going to make sure you're aware of it, and you can do the rest. So I'm going to show you. Let me get a blank drawing set here. Here's a blank drawing set. This is the monthly chart on the NASDAQ futures. So what does that mean? That means each candle is a month of price action, okay? Every month here is a month of price action. What I want to show you here is some major monthly levels that you have traded into. So number one, the October low right there, that's 24,158, okay? That's October low. So that's your number one, October low. Okay, number two, you have right here your August high. August high right there, 24,068. That is August high. Okay, next you have right here your July high. That is 23,845. That is the July high of the monthly chart. So everywhere between 24,158 and 23,845, you have July high, an August high, and an October low. If I go back to my charts, you will see that that zone, that area, all those months we're in, is right where we bottomed on Friday. So this, in my opinion, and I'm just going to give you my opinion for now, and you take what you want. If this is the low of November's candle, which would be basically I believe there's a very good chance that this is the low of November, which basically means that this is the low of the week. If this is the low of this week, that means it is the low of November, which then means that you would print a monthly candle at the same low pretty much of October, right? It would be basically a double bottom low. It's a little bit lower. But if that's the low of your November candle, right here, your monthly candle, you have massive November lows, right? Right at the July highs, right within that October low, right within that August high. All in there would be if that is your November low, I think that, is a reason that this market could hold, okay? You do what you want with that information. I would say this. It would be pretty irrational to short aggressively into these monthly lows, okay? I'll just say that. That's the last thing I'll say. I don't see a reason, whether you think the market should go down more or not. I think you'd probably want to short after this fails, right? If this fails, then you'd get back on that horse, right, aggressively, because you would be breaking some major, major monthly lows. I do not think there is a reason to short the market aggressively down 10% into monthly lows. That, to me, sounds like a terrible idea. So I am more on the side of this market holding up this week. I don't expect any type of drama to the downside. If this major monthly low is still here, if this fails, then drama ensues. Let it be known then. If you break that July high, drama-filled downside is on its way. But for now, you are definitely holding that, and I do not expect to see downside if you are holding above this zone. Major monthly lows, okay, and highs. Big spot. I would not short into it. Put it at that. Now, that doesn't mean, that does not mean, hey, Desi said don't short into this, so I'm going to long my whole portfolio. That is not what that means, okay? There's a difference between not shorting and longing. That's not the same. If you don't short, that doesn't mean you long. Okay, these are not the same. So, just because I say don't short here doesn't mean you long your whole portfolio into supply in a downtrend. That's not true. So, what do I need to see? I need to see at least us get above the Friday high a day, above this low here from Friday at 24,709. If we get that and we hold that, that could be interesting for upside after holding these lows, right? So, that's what I'm watching this week. Good luck. That's my read. Same thing on the S&P 500. It's the exact same read right here. See this? October low, August high. Guess what? The October low and the August high was the exact low a day from Friday. I mean, you can't make that up. This is the low of October. This is the high of August. That is between 65.23 and 65.40. If you go down to the 5-minute chart on Friday, you can see that that is the exact low of Friday. This is your pre-market low at the August high. This is your exact intraday low at the October low. I mean, it's just absolutely perfection. So, would I short into this? Hell no. Absolutely not. There's no reason to do that. If you break underneath 65.23, the train has just started. If you break that low, you are headed down aggressively. If you break that August high, that 65.23 low from Friday, welcome to downside. Now, I would have a very low expectation that this would break on a week like this week, which is, a short week, low volume. I don't think there's going to be enough volatility or volume to break a major level like this. So what do I expect? I expect probably a sideways to slide higher this week, to be honest, after testing those lows. That is just sort of logically what I'd expect. Now, of course, the market loves to do illogical things at times, and so that doesn't mean I just close my eyes and take one side of the trade and just be biased. That's not what this means. These are logical, technical theses. These are not, I'm long off the open and I don't care what anyone says and I'm going to stay in SPY calls all week. That's not what that means. So, what I'd like to see is likely a hold, number one, above this Tuesday low and the 100 SMA, which you can see on the S&P 500. We are creating that higher low right now. So you held that October low. You're creating a higher low above the 100. Now what I need to see is a reclaim above Friday's highs. If you can get above Friday's highs and hold above that, I'd expect the upside to come in maybe towards that 50, maybe back towards that 67.90. And that would be like the range of the week, I'd say. I don't think you'd go much further than that. If you get this move, that's it for the week, in my opinion. Maybe on, but maybe PPI and GDP give us a catalyst, so that would be hopeful, but maybe it does. All right, 66.77 Friday high day. Watching that. Would like to see us hold above the 100 SMA. That's a nice higher low creating itself here. If you can hold above these two this low and this low, I'd expect slides to the upside. If you pull back to that 100 SMA, see if it holds, and I would definitely not establish a short position right into these lows. If you break these lows, downside it is 65.23. Okay. SPY, same thing, no changes, the same ideas. You can see right here, October low, August high. Look at the lows from Friday. There, October low, August high, right inside of that area. Okay. Bam. Upside, that low holds, nice upside continuation, nice little pop. However, we are not above Friday high a day, meaning we're still in that range from Friday. 664.55, that is your Friday high a day. Gonna want to see that break. If you break that, 667.34. If you guys remember that 667.34 level that we had from Wednesday of last week, that rejected really nice. I would be careful there today. 667.34, very tight range here. Above that, 50. Above that, 20, right? So the upside move, the upside free, the air above is littered, right? That's a great way to think about it. The upside air, this is like, for you guys that like Formula One, this is like the dirty air that's coming off the back of a Formula One car in here. This is dirty air. I don't like, this is so dirty in here. It's, is it the 50? Is it this high? Is it the 20? Is it these highs? Where's it fail after a pop? It's all dirty air, right? All in here. It doesn't clean up, right? None of that cleans up, really. None of it cleans up anywhere, to be honest. Maybe until you're over this 681. It's just dirty. There's no clear, over 68.12 up here. Then it's like freedom up here, right? You get above this high, that's freedom. That's like crisp, nature air up here to just rip this thing higher. But through here, this is dirty, right? This is very dirty. You do not know what happens in here. Look at the previous price action in here, guys. It's not going to be clean to know whether this just rips higher straight up. It's probably not. So you got to be a little bit careful. That's why the upside is not that interesting, but the downside is not interesting, right? The downside is not interesting into these major lows, which is likely the reason this finds something to the upside. But man, oh man, is it tough to be long through here, right? You have Friday's highs. You have the September high. They got smoked on Wednesday. You have the daily 50. You have the daily 20. You have Thursday's highs. You have that major supply up here still, right? So this is all just dirty, dirty air. So it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be a scalp long if you find a spot, find a nice break and retest above Friday high day, scalp it long for a few points, take your profits, run, come to the next day, right? Okay, next day, scalp long above the daily 50, nice, take a few points off. Okay, next day, nice profit. Next day, okay, we're holding above Thursday high day, bam, few points, scalp it, take it off, get into the next day, right? And just sort of see if you can find those price action entries to the upside if we get it. not, long here and hope and pray that this goes through this whole area. Because what could happen is you get one of these, one of those, one of these, one of these, those, that, this, right? And it's just like, what the hell is going on? So tough little area there for sure. QQQ, here's the thing I need you to understand. Again, the market is holding this October and August low, which is great. Nice demand low, nice hold over the daily 100. But again, this upside this morning, it's meaningless. It's not important. It's still rejecting Friday's highs, right? Friday high rejection, Friday low rejection here, Friday lows right here. You have major previous lows, major Friday rejection highs, and you are still trading below that. So if the market stays in the current trend that it's in, which is pop and fade, supply rejections, then here you go again, right? This could easily fade again. I mean, that's what it should do, honestly. If this market is going to do the same thing as last week, this level today gets smoked, and it rejects, and it moves lower, right? That's it. I mean, that would be the day. You have the lows, you have the lows, you have Friday's highs. Every single time in this market, these highs have failed, right? Highs have failed, highs have failed. Previous lows into new highs. There it is again, right? So if this market stays weak, there's your fade today. Now, here's the question. Do you want to fade this back into the daily 100? Do you want to fade it back into the October low and August high? You might be able to take a few points on the futures contracts, but options, maybe you get quick in and out, but man, is that going to be a tough little spot to trade. So for me, that's a little NTZ and not too interested. Now, do I long today into this supply? Hell no, right? Hell no. You do not long into this rejection point, okay? All right. SMH. So something to be watching on the SMH. I think it's very important to know what the semis are doing this week. Are the semis strong? Are the semis weak? That's going to be very important. What are the semis doing now? They're bouncing off the 100 SMA right here. SMH daily 100 SMA. You can see right there, nice hold. So would I short the semis into the 100 SMA? I would not. I don't think that's interesting at all, actually. So if the semis find a pop this week off this 100, that could help the market find itself a little bit as well. If you break under the daily 100, then I think you trade back to 300. That's a possibility on the SMH, back down to here. But for now, you're holding that daily 100, and I would not short into it. What would I look for? I'd look to see what happens back at these lows. Very similar to the NASDAQ futures, right? Previous lows here, previous lows here. If you trade into this, does this fail? As a higher low, right? Or I'm sorry, a lower high, my bad. Lower high right here. Here's a low. Here's a low. Here's a high. And here's a lower high. All right. If this is a high and this is a lower high, this is still downtrending. So I am cautious of that. If that happens, semi stay weak. If we get back above it and hold above this zone and hold above the daily 50 and these lows and reclaim that, that's now interesting for an upside move off the daily 100. All right. So that's something I'll be closely watching this week. What does that do? What do the semis do? Okay. Press that like button if you could. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's jump into some stocks. Actually, let's jump into Bitcoin real quick. And how I want to look at Bitcoin is I want to show you IBIT. I am probably going to look to start to dollar cost into IBIT a little bit. I like this opportunity back towards 42. I think that's a great look on the weekly chart. 42, 42, 42, 42. Right now you're at 49, so you're still about 7 points off this level, which, maybe you start to dip your toes into it as it comes back. I am interested, definitely. I'm definitely interested. These are the times that I've always talked about, and, I've always tried to build the confidence of buying crypto when this happens, not when this happens, right? I hate buying crypto, and I won't buy crypto when everyone and their mom is talking about how bullish it is. I hate doing that because I know that this is going to happen. It happens every time. So, now that this is happening, you got to have that, you got to pull up your pants. You got to be a big boy, put the belt on, and say, okay, this is probably the opportunity that I've been waiting on, right? So it's time to pull up your pants. Right, and say, okay, if I've wanted to invest in crypto in the past, if that has been a thing that I am confident on, then why am I not looking to buy it now? All right, is it because I'm scared? Probably. So that's something I'm going to be watching. I have not bought any yet. I'll let you know if I do. But I think opportunistic and something to be paying attention to. So Tesla. Interesting. Something I want to talk about on Tesla. the failure to move lower is possibly the most bullish thing for this stock right now. Tesla has been extremely resilient, weirdly resilient, more resilient than other stocks, and this is typically not the case. Tesla is usually the first one to open the floodgates, right? The Tesla floodgates look like the cheetah meme, or the Cheeto meme. This is typically the Tesla floodgates right here, right? This is typically what Tesla floodgates look like, and the first sign of weakness, this thing gets absolutely torched. It's not happening. Very strange, right? It's very strange that it's not. So I'm interested. Is this actually a bullish sign for Tesla? You have had some extreme resiliency in this market downside. You've basically just gone sideways, right? So if you sort of pop on this real quick, I'm actually going to see if I can do this quickly so we don't waste too much time. But if we compare this with, let's just call it the QQQ. The QQQ, and it's pretty similar, but there has been a pretty, let me go ahead and put this sort of, okay, this right around here, right? Look at this. This is pretty crazy. It really is. And something I would be paying attention to, guys. Hold on, let me make this a candle, not bar. You got to sort of line these up correctly. Okay, it's like right around here. Yeah, it's like right, I'd call it like right there. Yeah, it's hard to know exactly where you'd scale this, but you can see here, the NASDAQ futures, right? The QQQ made this extreme new low, right? A lower low right here. And Tesla did not, right? I mean, it made a low, but it did not. Compare this area. Here's a low, right? Here's a lower low, here's a higher low. Here's a much lower low, and here is a not as low as this low, right? Look at the difference here. So you have this downtrending Qs move, and you have pretty much this uptrending Tesla move. This is bullish in my book, all right? This is bullish. So if there's a market upside move, I think Tesla's going to outperform. And it's weird for me to say that because this is very rare. I don't typically see this. I was looking for this to fail, but there's a point where as someone who's looking for something to fail, you need to realize when it's not failing, right? I was looking for this Tesla to really give in towards that 360, 370. It's just not giving in. So at some point, you got to say, all right, hold on a second. Let me not get blinded by this. This thing is not giving in. And so something is holding this up, and rightfully so. I mean, it's right at the 100 SMA. So if I put my studies back on, one second. If I put my studies back on here, you can see that we are holding that 100 SMA pretty damn well, right? And that is sort of interesting. And you are technically back at this pretty damn close to this retest. So yeah, Tesla's going to be a little bit of a watch into end of year for me, right? If you look at this weekly chart, it's pretty much, the same up, down, consolidation, up, down, and then does it start to do it again, right? Do we start to see this build here? So big watch, something I'm paying attention to, not something you go out and say, oh, Desi said, I'm all in next year, my whole second mortgage to house, here we go. Please don't do that. But I would pay attention to the general outperformance. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Nvidia is dead to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nvidia is dead to me. I said this on Friday, and I hope I save someone money. Look at Friday's price action on Nvidia. This is dead to me. It's no longer interesting to trade. Look at this stock. Okay, you are at the same price that you were back in July of this year. I have no reason to trade a stock that is at the same price since July of this year. I don't have a reason. And I can't make up a reason because the name of it is Nvidia. I can't do that. Right? Just because this is Nvidia and I love these 4 letters, I do. These 4 letters will go down as my favorite 4 letters in the world. Made some of my most money on this stock. Bought these shares, at 100 pre-split. So I owned it at $10. I think it was 10, right? Was it a 10 to 1? But it was a pre-split $100 share purchase back in October of what year was that? Was that 2020? October right here. October. Where the hell was it? Right here. Where was that October purchase I had? October, right here. Yes. After this drop, I bought it here around $100. Was it post split? Maybe it was post split. That was my biggest purchase on Nvidia. Was 100. Well, it must have been post split though. 100 post split was my biggest share purchase on Nvidia. And those, selling into this move up 100% on those shares, I'll never forget it, right? This was one of my best share purchases with size of 100%, and I love every second of it. But I can't get behind this. I can't get behind trading this. So I'm starting to not even watch it. So next, AMD is more interesting. It really is. AMD, something I would be watching today on AMD is the gap and trap. So what did we talk about on, if you paid attention on Friday, if you paid attention to the words that we talked about, we said that the gap fill on AMD will not be easy. There will 100% be traps. There will 100% be a trap, on an intraday. There will be maybe a 4-hour candle or a daily candle that traps on the downside. Look at what AMD did on Friday. It moved lower under the gap fill. It provided a beautiful trade for us, right? Which we traded live with the group. A beautiful downside move. A beautiful trade off the 203 break and retest rejection. But how did the day end? The day ended on a gap down, or a move into the gap, and then a trap back above it. A wick on the daily chart back over 203. After reaching its legs down towards that 100 and reaching down towards these highs. I believe this is possibly where AMD stops going down, right? Look at the 203 level now. Look at this. Look at the little trap down here. Look at the reclaim. So, if this holds 203 this week, I think there's actually interest in AMD moving back higher, to be honest. If you get over that 209, that could be something I'm watching. Now, if this rejects, then of course we go lower. If you reject 203, you go lower again. So I'll watch both sides, but I am going to be very conscious of the fact that you have trapped sellers underneath the gap fill level from Friday. That's sort of interesting, okay? MU, pretty interesting as well. Good pullback, necessary pullback. Here's your daily chart. You pulled back to our 192 spot. Nice hold from Friday. Very nice hold of that low 4-hour chart. I'm looking to see if you can get back over 214, 216. If I go to the daily chart, I'll show you right here. Here's a daily low. Here's a daily high. Here's some daily levels here, right? If you can get back above this low, back above this high, 214.75, 216.36. If you can reclaim this low right here, turn this back into support, I think upside is pretty much a good watch. So I'll be looking to see what happens at that Wednesday low from last week on MU. Okay? All right. Apple's not interesting. Google is insanity. Google, juicer. I mean, what a beauty. Sick stock. Only trade for me on Google today is a pullback to 300. Give me a retest long at 300. I'll be in it. That's my only trade. Microsoft. Who remembers our read on Microsoft? It got to our read. Job done. Target acquired. Microsoft, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Microsoft needing to pull back to this weekly high, and that is exactly what it did. Perfect pullback from this double top rejection into this weekly high, and welcome to the retest, my friends. That is the retest, right? You move higher here, I have to chase Microsoft. What is it going to do? It will always retest the breakout point. What has it done? It has retested the breakout point. So here's the retest. Here's the breakout point between the 456 to 468. Here's your high. Here's your high. And look at where you have pulled back to. This is opportunity. I would be watching this. I'm definitely going to be monitoring this. This is a very long-term read in LTR. This is not degenerate, crazy eyes, oh my God, crazy 0 DTE Microsoft, right? That is DT. I can't spell DTE. This is not degenerate land on 0 DTE Microsoft calls. This is much bigger picture thought process. So I would maybe be thinking some shares on Microsoft, maybe some long-term stuff. I like this look. I'm going to be watching it. That's a good weekly retest. Keeping eyes on what it does. Oklo. Still very interested in Oklo. Still pulling back to the exact retest level that we want to see it at. You can see right here, previous major highs. Here's your lows, 85 to 80. Still very interested in what happens in here. I bought shares at 100. I will probably look to buy more if I see a hold here. I'm going to slowly dip my way back into Oklo on this 50% pullback. And if you message me on the live stream tomorrow because you bought shares on Oklo, then sell them immediately because you have no ability to trust what you're doing. If you buy shares and then you get scared because it's down, you need to sell them immediately because you're already doomed. I haven't thought about if you are going to buy shares during this market downside and you think about them the next day after it's down another 2%, I want you to open up your broker and I want you to sell them immediately because you clearly do not have the confidence in what you're doing, right? If you're going to buy shares in this market downside, you should not be looking at them for another year. That is like the minimum of the thought process that you need to have right now. If you are going to take advantage of this 10% move on the market to the downside, you cannot be tracking your share purchases minute by minute. You will drive yourself absolutely insane. You are buying them for the long term. You are not buying them to panic the next day because it's down another 4%. Okay? You need to make sure you can really say to yourself, I'm actually buying this for the long term. Not, I'm going to buy this for the long term, but if I go in drawdown, I'm going to panic. If that is the case, then you are not buying it for the long term. So you need to really think about that before you start dipping your toes into shares. Okay? You can't do it that's being a hypocrite. You can't be a hypocrite. So, UNH, another one that I would absolutely be paying attention to today. This one actually is my top watch of the day. The XLV is significantly outperforming this market. Significantly. Seriously. Look at this. Look at the XLV. There is no stock chart that looks like this right now. This might be the only stock chart that looks like this. I don't see another stock chart like the XLV right now. That is significant outperformance. Lilly, J&J, and UNH are the three that are just absolutely... I mean, UNH is underperforming, but I think there could be a catch-up watch. UNH strong this morning. If you can get over this 331.60 and the daily 20, I'm very interested in UNH this entire week, right? Not just today. I'm watching it this entire week. Very interested here. Eli Lilly, nutso. I mean, just absolutely nutso. I have nothing to say. It's just the best stock right now, really. This probably is the best stock in the stock market right now, Eli Lilly. And then Johnson & Johnson with the incredible break and retest that came out of left field. I don't even know. We made this level. I checked out this chart last night in our Sunday recap, Sunday prep, and I don't even know when I created this level, but my God, is that perfect. Look at that all-time high there. Look at that weekly retest. So that is incredible. So, yeah, healthcare is on another level right now. And so that is the strong spot to be paying attention to. Palantir, big daily retest, big weekly retest, 150. Huge weekly levels here at 150. I will be watching to see what it does here. Definitely a major pullback spot. Palantir 150, keeping close eyes on that. Netflix looks pretty dead. Not really interested in it. Honestly, Netflix looks like it might be due for that 100 test. This 106.45 weekly high is starting to reject. You can see Netflix actually pretty big failure last week. After failing that 117, under that 106.45, that likely continues. Coinbase, not that interested, but maybe worth watching if it does hold back above this low at this 247. You have a gap to fill below on Coinbase right here, but it is holding the gap level. If you get back above this low at 247, then maybe, just maybe, you get a little Bitcoin relief here. That's something I'm going to be watching a little bit closely. Meta, I want to see on the plus side of 603. That is a weekly pivot that I'd like to see Meta reclaim. So right here, There's a 603 weekly pivot right here. I know that alert's in the way, but it's right there. If you can get back above that 603, that could get interesting. You can see 603 has been a very clear rejection point all last week. If you can get on the plus side of 603, that could be something to watch. Finally, there's two more I'm watching. Circle, I actually think, is a potential comeback candidate. I know that that's hard to stomach, but Circle pulled back to where we said it would pull back, by the way. It went to exactly the 64 IPO lows. We've been talking about Circle to 64 for like 3 weeks. And there you go, Circle 64. So look what happened after it hit 64. Look at this hourly chart. After it hit 64, you had a nice downtrending move right into the 64 low, 64 hold, downtrend breaks. If you get above these 74.80 highs and this low right here, there could be a little bit of a squeeze back higher that might be advantageous to take advantage of. I'm going to be watching that. Last but not least, let's just see what Zoom does today, man. I'm very interested to see what earnings on Zoom does. They have earnings after hours. I'm extremely intrigued. I really am. I want to see what Zoom has to say. I want to see if they're doing any better. This is in a multi-year consolidation. Does Zoom find its way out of this? That's something I will continue to watch. Okay. All right, guys. Those are some watches for today. The thesis today is I would not short into monthly lows, but I would also not long into Friday high a day. So what are we looking at? We're looking at an NTZ right in here. NTZ, today you have Monday, you have no news, so no catalyst today. Tomorrow you have PPI. Wednesday you have GDP. Thursday the market is closed. And Friday the market might as well be closed. It's open until 1 p.m. And I hope and pray that you are not here on Friday. I'll probably show up, because why not? But there is no way that broker's opening on Friday. I'll tell you that. All right. So, or I just take off. I might just take off. I might just lead by example on Friday. So we'll see. I'll let you know. Friday might be an off day for us. We might take that day. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace and love. And don't forget, TradeZilla down below. Code presale. Use my code. Use my link down below. All right? Now, peace and love.